Mr. Dutton, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me. So give the audience a little bit of a summary about who you are.
Absolutely. My name is Jeff Dutton. I'm the owner of Legacy Foundation and Construction. I've been doing foundation repair for over 24 years. This is a new company. We've been doing this for about 3 years now. We started this company because we saw things kind of getting diluted. And when you own something, it's something yours, you're more apt to do it correctly. And so I wanted something that I can hand to my family. I have a business partner, and his daughter and son work for us as well. So we have three 30-year-old kids, men and ladies, that are going to take this company and move it into the next go-round, then the next 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
So it's gratifying for me but it's a good industry.
Yeah, it sounds like you care a lot about integrity, just doing it the right way.
Do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, I got some questions for you, sir. We're going to be speaking to the first-time sellers today.
Sure.
So one question is, what does foundation repair actually cost in Dallas-Fort Worth? Give me like a real range from like a couple of piers to like a worst-case scenario.
Sure, that's a great question because there are variances depending on the pier process. We have concrete piers and drill piers and helical piers and cable out piers and steel piers and hybrid piers. It's all processed, just like the Ford, the Dodge, and Mercedes-Benz.
Got it.
And so what we've tried to do is to try to break it down on a cost basis of what our materials cost and the labor and all of that, and roll that into a cost. And this is what it costs per pier. And that will range between $350 and $750 depending on the process and the area of town. A lot of the areas of the Metroplex, we will get somewhere between 12 and 16 feet of pier penetration. And in those areas, we're not going to use a lot of material. So I can afford to be a little bit lower in my pricing. And if I have 8 piers, I can't squeeze the math as much. I might need to charge a little bit more. But if I have 30 piers, then I can squeeze the math. Don't want to squeeze the scope. The scope is the scope. It's my job to make the math work. And so sometimes I have a giant 2-story house. I need a steel pier on that house. It's going to be a little bit more expensive. And if it's in Mansfield or maybe up in McKinney, we get a lot of deep pier penetration in those areas for whatever reason. It's a water table. A lot of these areas have fill, and they bring everything and level everything off. So there's a lot of factors involved, but most of the time you're in that 350 to 550 range on most of our piers. But we try to do what we can to manipulate those numbers if we can.
That makes that makes sense. So you're saying that like there's areas in the Metroplex where it might be more or less expensive depending on what's underneath the home and like the clay or like the movement of it. Is that what you're saying?
No, absolutely. You get out to Weatherford and you get 4 or 5 feet in the ground and it's granite. You're not getting any deeper. You found the source. We call low-bearing strata or refusal, and people call it bedrock. There's not a lot of bedrock south of Amarillo. What we have is petrified clay. And the deeper in the earth, the more dense it becomes. And at one point, it's as hard as what we're standing on. We're trying to get to that point. In some areas, I might have 10 piers on the house, and I might have 6 different pier depths. 8 feet here, and 12 feet here, and 7 feet here, and 14 feet over there. We don't care. We're pushing to refusal until the machine stops and it says, this is as far as we can go. We haven't gotten to our point. And once we do that, move over and do it again.
So are there any cities in Dallas-Fort Worth where like if you get a job, you're like, oh, this one's going to be easy? And are there any that you're like, oh, this one's going to be a doozy?
It's funny you say that because there are some areas, there's still areas that are very volatile that we're not going to use a ton of material, and it's just what it is. And then you get maybe one house on that block that was just whatever reason that it doesn't take a lot of material, a lot of cylinders, as we say. And so there are times where we've been in areas. Last month we did a job over in McKinney, and it took 26 cylinders, and I've never pushed more than 17 or 18 in that area. And there were 40 piers on this job. So it was a lot of extra material. And we made it work, but we could have asked for a little bit more up front, but we didn't know.
Right, you didn't know.
So, but we try to be as easy as we can on the pricing. And we do about 80% of our business in the realty market, the buyers and sellers and investors. So we know that there's a difference between what an investor is going to want to do and what you're going to do if you're going to rent your house out and what you're going to do for your forever home. There's levels of that, right?
Sure.
And you've got an investor, he's going to do what he can to try to save as much money as he can because all it is to him is just a line in the sand, and this is his margin, and this is where he has to stay. And if he does this, then I can't do cabinets. Or if I do this, I can't do the roof, you know.
Yeah. Right.
So we have to figure out where that happy medium is. And when we're on these inspections, they usually last between 45 minutes to an hour and a half. And again, we don't charge for that. And the reason why is because we're trying to provide information so that they can feel comfortable with it. And you know, you've got a home inspector that's charging, you know, $400 or $500 to do his job, and he does a very good job. He's there to comment on everything. The electrical, the plumbing, the roofing, the foundation, the sprinklers, and all the other stuff. And he may miss something, or he may call something out that he feels is out of the ordinary. And that's where we step in as plumbers and foundation repair and roofers and window guys and so forth. That's kind of how we go about that.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So let's speak to a seller that's in a situation right now. They're about to sell their home, maybe in the next 6 to 12 months, and they notice some cracks in their wall that they never noticed before. Would you recommend like getting that resolved before selling the home, or maybe waiting to see what happens in the process?
No, that's a great question. And I'll always believe that sooner is better. And the reason why is because sniffle turns into a cold turns into a flu turns into pneumonia. Never gets better. Okay. Now, that being said, as an owner, a seller, what I can do to control the environment, I should try to do. If I have a crack in the wall, fix it. If you have an appliance that's not working, repair it, replace it. If you have a foundation that's not performing properly, get it taken care of and get it out of the way, because of what I, as a buyer, can't see or detect, I can't gripe about, or reduce the cost of your equity.
Sure.
So that being said, I think that it makes more sense on the front end to tackle it before it becomes an issue, as opposed to not being able to control the environment and having whoever you know, you don't even know who's coming through your house to do inspections, and you may have somebody that's very well versed and somebody that's being heinous about just trying to sell a job.
Sure.
And so sometimes there's issues on the other end of the spectrum where you have a homeowner that's, you know, we deal with a lot of people that are, their mom and dad's passed and the kids are taking over the house. They're not going to move in. They're trying to do what they can to liquidate. And it's your job to kind of to give them a laundry list of stuff that they may not have thought about. Hey, by the way, when we do the foundation, you may have a plumbing issue because this house is cast iron pipes and there's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And if you do that, we can provide these people at the table. But we can do a fund at closing where we do the work beforehand and get paid at closing. And then sometimes they just say, I don't want this. I know that there's a plumbing issue, or maybe they think they have a plumbing issue, and if they don't do the foundation repair, that's when maybe it's an opportunity in the amendment for the realtor to say, we're just going to give you a $15,000 concession or a $10,000 concession, and you guys can do what you want to with it.
Sure.
So my job is to come in and bring civility to the table and try to take the pressure off them, because it's not if but when.
Okay.
And again, like I said, it's not a black eye like it used to be. It's a flat tire. And that being said, back when I started in this industry, I'd have people just walk away from a 1,800 square foot house because it needed 3 piers on the garage. And I could put 3 piers on just about every garage in Texas. But the bottom line is now we've educated the customer on not if but when. And if it does happen, that we provide this peace of mind. It's the simulation of between a used car and a certified pre-owned car. One of them has a little bit more to it. All they did was just do a detail and some new tires, right? And they're the same vehicle, right? Well, that's what we do is we bring a certified pre-owned home. We found a problem, a deficiency. We fixed it. We repaired it. We brought an engineer to sign off. The plumber says everything's good, or we fixed whatever was done. Here's your lifetime warranty. Now we have a blanket of comfort. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
Blanket of comfort.
Because the way that I've also understood it too is like, I like the analogy of the black eye. It's not a black eye anymore. It's more of a flat tire. Just because of the way that the soil is and the clay is in North Texas. Like, it's going to happen at some point. It's just a matter of when. It's similar and akin to, like, from what I understand, like an HVAC system. Like, there's a lifetime. There's a shelf life of an HVAC system.
Absolutely.
It can be, you know, extended if you service it regularly, but at some point you're not going to have a 100-year-old HVAC system. It's going to go out at some point.
Well, a lot of it is all preventative too. Now you can buy a Ferrari and change the oil, or if you don't change the oil and rotate the tires, it'll fall apart on you. It's a Ferrari. Okay, right. You didn't take care of it. So a lot of houses, when we see these inspections we come on, I tell most of the people that I come in contact with is find the house that has the fewest problems and jump on it. They all have problems. Some are smaller, some are bigger, some are really something you need to pause on, and some is like, once we fix it, it'll be fine. The flat tire, right? Once I change the tire, everybody's back to normal. And so that being said, when we get into these transactions where we're trying to deal with people that are in uncharted territory, a lot of people come in from the north or out of state, they're not used to our soil, and they don't understand foundation repair. What are you talking about? Okay,
right.
And so we talk about hydrating the exterior with soaker hoses. And the soaker hose system is nice. The problem with it is that once you get about 30 feet on a soaker hose, there's really nothing coming out of the hose. And so you don't have the forecast that you would with a drip irrigation system. Now what we have partnered up with, I've got an irrigation specialist that can install one of those systems. It's a one-time cost, depending on the project, how big the house is and so forth. If you have a 2,500 square foot footprint, whether it be 2 or 1 story, the soaker hose is not going to work because you're going to have a deficiency in some part of that house. And the soaker hose is there to provide humidity or moisture around the property to keep the soil from backing away from it and causing moisture to get underneath and erode the soil, cause the slab to fail. And so when you see that dirt backing away, you've probably been in houses where they haven't, it's been vacant or whatever, and no one's doing any yard work or anything, and it's just backed away from the foundation.
Right.
You just push it away with your foot and then water the exterior of the foundation. Well, this basically was installed 4 inches away, 4 inches below the soil. It's zone 7, and when you turn your sprinkler on, it hydrates around the perimeter of the house, and it's a fantastic idea. It's like having a pair of pants on without a belt. We're just putting a belt on it. And it protects the investment as well. Because when I do foundation repair, the only 2 things in the world that are permanent are death and taxes. Everything else is a variable. So when I do this, you buy something, they ask you, well, you need to service it. I buy a car. Every 5,000 miles, you do change the oil and rotate the tires, right? And if you don't do that, they're not going to warranty it. So when we do the foundation, we're going to tell you, we're going to stabilize it, and it's good right now, but we'd like for you to pay attention to the perimeter of the house. If you see a problem with it, trees scraping on the roof, you need to get off the roof. If you've got something that's in direct contact with the soil that's causing undue harm on the slab, which causes the foundation to fail, then it either needs to be remediated or it needs to be addressed.
So is there anything that is there a reality or a seller, if they took care of their foundation perfectly, that they would never have to get any foundation repair? Or is it just a matter of it could take somebody 20 years, but if the guy that's doing it every day, a machine, it'll take him about 200 years?
Well, no, you can't put a time frame on it. And I will say this: I did a house over in Dallas 5 or 6 years ago. They had Yard of the Month sign out front. We put 30 piers on their house. Yard of the Month.
Oh wow, okay.
Okay, and then I've had houses that I walked in and thrown shoes away after I've done the inspection and didn't need to work. So your 15 or 20 is when you start to show the age in a house. We've inspected, my son and other people in our organization have inspected houses where the house is 9 years old and the builder really doesn't want to do anything with it. Your builder's warranty is diluted from day 1 to year 10 or 5. Some new build warranties are 5 years now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, everything but light bulbs are covered in the first calendar year, and then it just starts getting diluted. And it really is dependent on the, just like the foundation repair companies, there's home builders out there that just won't stand behind their warranty. I'm not going to name any, but there are 3 or 4 builders out there that I wouldn't buy a house from them if they gave it to me. But there are others out there that do a really good job of putting together a quality product, and just gravity and our soil content and our temperatures. I mean, we get 4 seasons to just get them in the same week. So when you have that volatility and you're not doing the preventative maintenance, yes, it will fall apart on you sooner. So to answer your question, I don't think that you can put a time frame on it. And even though I'm taking care of my product, doesn't mean it will be susceptible to foundation repair need. So,
yeah, because what I'm hearing is that it is a little bit inevitable. It's just a matter of time, and that whenever it does happen, make sure you do it the right way.
Well, and a lot of it has to do with who you contract with. We contract with people we feel comfortable with. And that has a lot to do with our approach. I am there to provide information You're in uncharted territory. So this is what we need to do, and this is the cost involved. I didn't create it. I'm trying to solve it, and this is what it's going to cost. Then we can talk about how we pay for it and things of that nature. We have some financing that's available with our company, which is very nice. And that's something that we could embellish on down the road if you needed to. But the bottom line is we try to give definitive answers to the questions that they may have. And some of them have fantastic questions that I've heard thousands of times, but I still needs to come out of their mouth to tell me what their concerns are, because it doesn't do me a bit of good to go out there and just give them a spiel and find out I didn't even address what they came out there for.
Right.
So when I come out, it's a consultation. We walk around the perimeter to look at the property to see what I see in deflection in the windows, the brick, trim board, soils away from the house. There's trees right here next to it. I walk in, I draw the interior. We do everything by hand, so I don't usually haven't found a product yet that I can get the floor plan for every house. I'm working on it, but in 24 years I haven't figured it out. But it's nice, and we do that. So it's a process that helps us walk around the outside. Then we go inside and shoot the elevations, and we're trying to verify, is this communicating with that? And if it's not, there's a reason why. This door's jammed up. You go outside, well, there's a giant crack here. And so we've heard of expansion joints.
Yeah.
Okay. I've found a ton of houses in the last 17 or 18 months that are houses that were built between 89 and 96 or 7 that are longer than 30 feet and don't have a control joint or expansion joint. And it's crazy, and they got a big giant crack down the side of the house, but their foundation's fine, and the doors aren't jammed up, and there's really nothing wrong with it. And if they would have put an expansion joint on it from the get-go, maybe the crack would not be there.
Can you say a little bit more about what is an expansion joint?
Yeah, so our houses used to be very wide, and they were, let's say they were 35 or 40 feet wide, and they were 27 feet deep, and we had little bay windows and kickouts, and the garage was here, and sometimes the garage was here. Mostly there's just a big rectangle. Now we take that and we turn it the opposite direction. Our front door's here, and we're 40 feet wide, and we're 60 feet deep. So anything longer than 25 feet has to have a control joint, because the slab is sitting on a hot piece of land. And this product is doing this all the time. And this product above that's brick is non-pliable. And it cracks. So we have to have a way for it to expand and contract, and expand and contract. And so they came up with the post-tension cable idea in the 80s, because the price of steel tripled overnight. And if you bend a piece of steel, it stays that way. The benefit to the post-tension cable is it allows the house to flex in the summer and the winter with our volatile soil. And so that expansion joint is there to protect the house from causing undue stress. Now, we talked about cracks on the interior. We've got a lot of that right now just because we've had a tremendous amount of temperature change and humidity change. In April or May, we were in 68 degrees.
Right. It was awesome.
40% humidity.
Yeah.
Monday, it was 100 degrees, and it was 80% humidity, and it felt like it was 140 in the shade.
It was an oven, yeah.
And some of these houses are empty, and they've got the air conditioner cranked up to 80 because they don't want to spend the money because they're trying to sell. And that's one of the problems we see a lot, too, when we see the homeowners. When the sign goes in the yard, everything stops. They quit doing the yard. It's crazy. They quit doing the yard. They don't maintain it. You walk in, there's dust bunnies everywhere, and the smoke detectors are going off. And it's like you still have to maintain it.
Right.
And so again, like I said, just because I see a crack doesn't mean that there's an issue. And it's all about, if you took a shoe box and you twisted it in opposite ends, it crinkles the box in the middle. The problem is on the outside edge, it's a pressure point. So if I have a crack over this doorway, it's not necessarily there. It's usually on one of the corners that's doing some undue flex. You go into a house and you walk into the room, for instance, this room, and we open the door and you shut the door and you turn the handle, and the handle wants to pop open, the door wants to pop open, it's telling you one of the corners in the room isn't square. Now, which one of those corners is not square? Is it down here? Is it down there? Is it down here? But something's happened causing this mechanical to be more of an issue than it should be. But it doesn't mean that we need to lift over there.
Gotcha.
So that being said, it's a lot about paying attention to those sorts of things, because if we have cracks just because we've had to change the temperature. I mean, that crack wasn't here last week. Well, what happened? Well, it was 68 degrees. Yeah. Now it's 100.
Right.
So that's what we say. We're dependent on our volatile soil, but we're also dependent on our extreme temperatures because we get 4 seasons. We just get them in the same week.
Right.
Right.
I know. Yeah, it was so hot yesterday and this week. Yeah, it's been nuts. Okay, that makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that if you walk up to a home, like you get called on an inspection, you walk up to a home, are there any what is the word? Telltale signs that you can look at it immediately and say, oh, this is going to have a problem. This could be like a tree that's too close. Like, is there anything that you can just tell from the naked eye from the exterior?
Yes. Okay. So let's say that you're on a house that's 20 years old. Uh-huh. And it's in an area of town that's fairly flat. Because there's a lot of houses that are built up on cushion sand. And then they have these swales between the houses that allow it to drain between the houses. Mm-hmm. Okay. Back in the 80s or the 70s, we didn't think about that. They didn't even have storm drains in some of the streets, right? Mm-hmm. And when it rains, it just stays there. Okay. Mm-hmm. And everybody has a drainage problem the day it's raining. Mm-hmm. Now we have a rule of thumb of 24, 48, and 36 hours. If it's still there in 24 hours, it's a nuisance. If it's there in 24 to 48 hours, then it might be a nuisance, but we might want to look at it. But if it's still there in 3 days, it's addressable. Mm. So if it's gone, all this water's hanging around here, and 3 days later it's gone, there's really no need unless you really want to. I've installed drainage on houses that really wasn't that big of a problem, but it was a nuisance enough for the homeowner to say, I don't want to look at it. Mm. And that's fine and dandy, but I'm going to stress that we do that job. Mm-hmm. And that goes into the point of not trying to sell a job, to try to do what we can to improve the structure. But you can walk onto a house and, in the corner above the soldier brick, the brick at the top, it's mm-hmm. vertical, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a piece of trim under the soffit. Mm-hmm. And you go out on the corner and you can stick your thumb in that space. Mm-hmm. It's either heaved because maybe there's a giant tree here that's growing up onto the foundation, or it's failed because the foundation's failed. Mm. So that would be an area that I need to pay attention to. Yeah. Then I would normally go around to the side of the house to see if the expansion joints or the windows are gapped. You've seen instances like even on a garage door where the garage door is kind of cattywampus, and you can see the flashing at the bottom, and you've got 3 inches at the top, and it's either going out this side and it needs to be repaired on the garage wall, or maybe they made an adjustment on the garage door sometimes too. The garage is fine, there's no foundation repair. Why is this fitting wrong? Because it's not fitting in the space well.
That makes sense.
Sometimes we have doors that were furred in wrong. When they put a door in last week, I went into a house. It's crazy. Looking at the door, and the door fits in the space well, and I'm looking over and I look above the door trim, and it's 11 7/8 to the ceiling on the right side and 12 5/8 on the left side. It was furred in wrong in an unlevel situation, and now we've got the foundation, and now the door doesn't want to fit. Oh. Now you got to change the door.
Right, because
Now we fix the foundation, you got to change the door. So there's so many factors involved and things, the red flags. I've seen houses where there were. We had an instance a couple of months ago where a realtor called me, and she's trying to help one of her girlfriends. She's a single mother. She's got 2 children. She's trying to buy a house. Her mother lives in the area, so we're trying to find a house close to mom. Mm-hmm. And she's looking at this house. I think it was in Mesquite, and it's not a big house. It's 1,900 square feet, smaller home. Mm-hmm. And the home inspector was there. I've known this guy for 15 years. We see each other all the time. He's a fantastic inspector. And I'll shout out his name if I can, anytime I can. And it would just so happens that he was at the transaction, and he was there about 30 minutes before I was. And I said, how's it going? And he goes, there can be some problems here. I said, why? And he said, well, we found termites in the ridge beam. Well, termites start here, and they work their way there. And the ridge beam is 17 feet in the air, which means this house is just completely ridden with termite. And I shot elevations and needed 26 piers around the perimeter. And I told her, if you don't have about 60 or 80 grand to spend on this house to do your rehab, because you need some new cabinets and new flooring, and you're going to remediate all your termites, and it needs a new roof, then this is not the house for you. So that was a case that I was able to save her because she's only emotionally attached to the house because she's an option.
Right.
Until we get past the option period, it's just emotional.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that buy on emotion. But at the same time, it's kind of the opposite of an investor. There's no emotional attachment. It's a line in the sand for them. I'm going to spend $60,000 on this house, and that's it. If I have to spend any more on, we just pass and go on to the next. Correct?
Yeah.
So when you look at these home buyers, they're hoping that the people that they bring to the table, whether it be the realtor that brings the foundation guy or their best friend calls and says, hey, I've worked with this guy before, whatever. When they come to the table, it's our job to give them some peace of mind and say, listen, I think this house is fine. I put my family in the house. We need to fix a couple of things and we'll be good. Or I think it might be one of those situations where, there's another one down the street we might be able to find that's going to be a better fit for you. So I haven't found many that I can't fix, but I've found a few that I shouldn't fix. And when I find those, it's my job to tell the people that bring me to the table, we need to pass on this one.
Yeah, that's so great that you that you can have that open communication with the people that are looking. Yeah,
with anything.
With anything, yes, and that you are able to be honest. And because I know that there's a lot of companies that will just say, "Oh yeah, like we'll take care of this," and like no problem,
and don't.
And then
don't take care of it.
And they don't take care of it.
So yeah, I'd rather do a little bit. I guess I heard something that was very, very striking on my end when I heard it. It was an epiphany. And I heard there was an actor on Broadway that had been doing Broadway for years. And he's been doing this same play for years. And they asked him, why do you study so much? And you're always honing your skills. And he said, because somebody in that audience has never seen this play and that everybody deserves an opening day performance. And so that's my job. They've never met me and they don't know anything about our company. But they know that when I get done with it, everything's going to be done correctly. We get an agreement. It's to the letter. This is what we're doing. If you want to do more, then we're going to have to talk about embellishing that. But our job is to take the stress out of the transaction. Because there's a lot of trepidation in uncharted territory, regardless of what you're doing.
Right.
Learning how to swim.
Right.
So
yeah, people don't know what they're like. If they see a crack or they see some issues, it might be really scary, and so they're really dependent on somebody else that knows what they're doing. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes it's a matter of just not peeling them off the ceiling. But I've had buyers that have just terrified with the process itself, and really not as much the things that are happening, but the process itself. It's like a test. And I could sit there and be in the class all day long. When it comes to test, I'm not a good tester.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when the people are coming to the table and you see, because you read people a lot when you talk to people, and you can see the trepidation in their eyes. Now it's not my job to figure it out, but I think I have an obligation to try to find out what's causing that pause for them to say, I'm not real sure this is the house I want. And sometimes it's very simple. And when they find out, oh, okay, listen, it's on a cul-de-sac and it's a quiet neighborhood. I think it's a fit for you that we've got some piers that we need to put on the house. Once we do, everything's back to normal. But it fits your needs. It's in the school system you want for your children. It's close to mom and dad, things of that nature. It really has to be a horrible fit for it not to work.
Sure.
And so it's my job to say, okay, let's pump the brakes on the panic.
Yeah.
And
here's the reality.
These are things that we can take care of.
Yep.
I mean, if I cut the tip of my finger off, I'm not going to die.
Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
But I have to address it.
Yes.
But if I cut my hand here at the wrist, I'm going to need medical help like
immediately.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
So we have to determine the root cause of why it happened. And then when we do foundation repair, that's a lot of ours too. You go to the doctor, he didn't just stick a tongue depressor in your mouth and tell you what's wrong. He has to run some tests. So we come out, we do the diagram, we shoot the elevations, we go back out and determine what's going on. And oh, by the way, this tree probably needs to come down. It's a little close to the house. You've heard the tree's too close to the house.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with the type of vegetation. The live oak, you can park it right next to the house. It's fine. Because if you have a fast-growing tree like your Bradford pear trees, your silverleaf maples, there's a reason why the builders put those on the lots because they're going to be full-grown in 5 years. You put an oak on, it's going to be 20 years before it covers the top of the house, right? So if you look at the tree and the foliage above, you turn it upside down, that's what you have in root system below. So if you have a tree that doesn't branch up for 20 feet, it's not causing any undue stress on the foundation because it's not competing with the soil and the roots. But if you have a tree that branches up at 4 feet, that root system is right there at the foundation line and it's competing with that soil. Because most of your vegetation out there, like your oaks and Bradford pears, they'll absorb 60 to 100 gallons of water a day by themselves. That's why you need to water daily or every other day.
Wait, so just to make sure I'm hearing you right, are you saying that the trees that builders put in on the homes are better or worse for the foundation?
No, I think the fast-growing trees are, here's the thing. If you have a diameter of a tree that's 20 to 30 feet in, let's say 30 feet in diameter, it needs to be at least 15 feet away from the house because that's where the base of the tree is going to be. Right. Now it's not going to be in direct contact with because those root systems are going to be the size of your pinky and not your waist or something of that nature.
Right.
So I've had instances where we have had trees too close to the house, and we have three options. You can not address it, or you can take the tree out and grind the stump. Grinding the stump is key, and or you can do a root barrier where you cut the roots and then you force them to grow the opposite direction. The problem with this, the cost to do a root barrier and the cost to take the tree down and grind the stump is about the same. And I can't guarantee that the tree's going to survive when I do a root barrier. So I've never really been a big fan of the root barrier.
Okay.
And so I think that if you're not tied to a tree, there's a lot of tree huggers, and I don't mean to cut the trees down, but there's a lot of vegetation that's too close to the house. These magnolias that you see, and they're putting them right next to the house, some of those will grow 10 feet, and some are those giant monsters that are 30 feet. That needs to be out in the yard. So a lot of that has to do with there's so many factors involved in why the foundation, not just the soil. It's the heat. It's the lack of moisture. Our bodies are made of fluid. If we don't drink enough water, we get dehydrated, we get sick, we can die. If we drink too much, we get bloated and don't feel well. That's what you need to do is they need the consistency level and that soil content around the outside of the house. And so that's why a lot of your architects and engineers will ask for soil samples and soil content. Hey, I'm going to build this giant monster and I want to test the soil so I'm not building on a giant water table. And so that's our job is to come out and take those houses that are most of the time usually 20 to 30 years old and some are newer. And to bring them back to their luster, it's like find an old barn find and then go in and put a paint job on it, and now it's worth a gazillion dollars.
Yeah, well, Mr. Dutton, thank you so much for your time. This has actually been so helpful.
Well,
I just so appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Pleasure.
you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you.
if they're, how can anybody reach you if they wanted to have you guys come out and take a look?
Sure, they can look us up at legacyfcco.com, and that's our website, and you can pull that up. They can contact my cell, which is 817-706-3430. Office number is off the top of my head. I can't remember.
Okay.
But at the same time, we do have a good group of people that can help organize. Our schedule system is set up to where we will let you know when we're going to. You've seen that when my son has looked at properties for you, you know when we're going to be there. Punctuality is a big deal. And a lot of it is really just being there for people. And we've got a lot of repeat customers, but we've got a lot of people that are friends now because of the way we treat them. Just do it. We're going to be there for another 20 minutes. Just get it done. And it takes another $200 or $300 to get it taken care of. You know, I'm not going to go back to the customer and ask for that. It's just do it right. Because they remember things like that. So
makes sense.
Anyway,
Thank you,
appreciate
sir.
it.
So
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
your time. Yeah,
All right,
thank you so
bye-bye.
much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.